The days are longer, the calendar is filling up, and I want to feel as good as this beautiful summer weather. That's why I've been loving Groons. It's one daily pack of gummies that covers my greens, vitamins, and minerals, and even has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber. So I don't need to juggle a complicated wellness routine on top of everything else. They taste amazing. They're easy to toss in my bag on the go. Plus, they're vegan, gluten free, and HSA, FSA eligible for reimbursement. Save up to 52% off with promo code podcast at gruns.co. That's code podcast at gruns.co.
Hi, everybody. This is Dawn Mitchell, and welcome to Dawn of Sports. Now, this week we have a wonderful person that I know from Fox 9. You know her as a top-notch reporter, our lead reporter at Fox 9. She's also a mother of two, but you may not have known that Courtney Godfrey not only is an amputee, but she is also on the U.S. para ski snowboard team. I know she makes all of us look like we're slackers, but can't wait to get to that interview. But we have so much more to talk about too. Vikings, see if they can get back on the right track. Timberwolves are going strong, Wild, a lot to talk about. So stay tuned.
Yes, welcome back to Dawn of Sports. She's Dawn Mitchell of Fox 9. I'm Jim Suhan from the Star Tribune and from TalkNorth.com. We're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studios. Best way to listen to this show or any show across our vast network now is to subscribe at your favorite podcast app. It's the easiest way to listen. It also helps us out. We do appreciate it, and it's, of course, free. Thanks to Rudy Luther Toyota, Minnesota Masonic Charities, and Natrium for sponsoring the program. And go to the TalkNorth.com website. You will find something you like. We have the best sports lineup in town. We have great outdoor content, and we keep adding to it, including Randy Shaver's new high school football show. It's doing so well and is generating all kinds of exclusive content. Check it all out. We do appreciate it. Today's show is being produced by Alex Haugen. And thanks to everybody at the TalkNorth.com studios. All right, Dawn, really looking forward to the interview with Courtney. We've already recorded it, so we know it's great. Fascinating story, a very brave woman and great journalist. I want to hear more from her later on. Let's start with the obvious place today. We're talking here on Tuesday afternoon. 5 days from now, the Vikings will return to action against the Colts. Sounds like the Colts are benching Anthony Richardson and going to play Joe Flacco, who's been remarkably effective the last couple of years coming out of retirement. So what are your feelings right now about where this team is?
Well, first of all, everyone's going to say, oh, it's just Joe Flacco hasn't played a little bit. It's the experienced quarterbacks that have been giving the Vikings the worst fits. So you can't just throw anyone just out there and just say, oh, yeah. No, he hasn't really started in a while. He can still hurt the Vikings. So they have to be on their P's and Q's. And of course, we have to start first, Jim, talking about the loss of Christian Darrisaw. You can't fill a blindside guy like that who can tackle two guys with one arm. That's why they extended him, gave him big money in the offseason. That's going to be hard. And it looks like for right now, they're going to do it in-house. So, who's it going to be? Might be by committee, or they're going to have like Brandel move over, or David Quessenberry. Young Walter Rouse has been playing well. Everybody says, I'm willing to do whatever the team wants. I mean, I think this is a galvanizing moment for the offensive line to see if they can pull this off.
Yeah, my guess is they'll move Brandel to tackle where he played in college. He's having a good year at guard. Then they have Dalton Reisner. They can put it in his spot at guard. Reisner's finally healthy and played pretty well for them last year. I'm guessing that's the way they go. But as you noted, Darrisaw is one of their best players and one of their hardest to replace players. And as you know, with offensive line, it's not just about talent. It's also about continuity. So it's, if you need a running back or a receiver at the trade deadline, you can go get one and you're going to be able to fit them in pretty easily. Offensive line is different. The communication between these guys, understanding the scheme, understanding the subtleties of each play is really important. So I think they're probably better off staying in-house. And here's the other thing, Don. They have no draft capital. They can't make any trades. Unless you want to start trading your top picks from 2026 and 27, which would not be wise. They just don't really have the draft capital to make trades right now.
Yes, and Jordan Addison said he just said free three because he's always been saying it. And I did look back. He put free three on at draft night. So he was like, some people just want to make something out of nothing. Maybe it was just poor timing that he's like, yeah, free three, because that's just his kind of motto, I guess. So no, for all the people that were DMing me, trade Addison. He's unhappy here. They're not going to trade Jordan Addison. So
Well, they're also not going to trade somebody when he's at low value. And right now, Addison's not playing well enough to bring a lot back.
and he admitted that he has to do some things better. I think, the whole offense has to. I think, believe it or not, when TJ Hawkinson starts playing, that may actually free him up a little bit because now, defenses have to scheme to cover this big guy too. So, who's going to be a big target in the middle. So, we'll see if that helps Jordan Addison or not.
I also think Hawkinson coming back could actually help the offensive line in a weird way because if they're willing to play right now they're not getting Jalen Naylor, I think, is a pretty good player, but they're not getting a lot out of the third receiver right now. Right. You bring Hawkinson in, it might free up Josh Oliver to help on the edge rushers when they need to, either side, but of course, more likely helping out Brandel if he's the guy taking over Darishaw's spot.
Yeah, and then it's another huge target in the end zone that can come down with the ball and be tough. And Huck is pretty fast too. So I think what do they say? The rising tide lifts all boats. So let's hope that happens on offense with Hawk back.
I will say this: it's a fascinating point in the season right now because they're 5-2. They get up to a 5-0 start that no rational person would have expected, and then as soon as people get to a fever pitch, they lose 2 games in 5 days. I'll say this: there's still, I don't know what's going to happen, but they are 5-2, 7 weeks in, which is still way ahead of expectations. Neither losses were bad losses. They lost to the team that might be the best team in the NFL, and the Lions, by 2 points. And a game that could have gone either way. And then the Thursday night game was the ultimate trap game. Vikings haven't won a West Coast night game since 1996. It's a really hard task. They're playing on a Thursday night after getting beat up by the Lions. No team that played the Lions has won the following week this season. They beat you up physically, and the Vikings had to deal with it on a very short week and a long flight. And the Rams get back Nakua and Kupp just in time to attack the Vikings with them, and the Vikings didn't even know Nakua was going to play. And then the Rams did. No other team had really fully adjusted to what the Vikings do defensively, except maybe the Lions in the second half. And the Rams basically said, "We're not going to let the rush get to us. We're going to snap the ball quickly enough that you can't mess with our heads with formations, and then we're going to." Get the ball out of the quarterback's hands fast enough that the rush can't get there. And then we're going to force your cornerbacks to tackle 2 excellent run after the catch guys.
But one problem was there was no rush because he didn't even have to get the ball out of his hands fast. He checked down to maybe even to his 4th check down at some point. So you're like, oh my gosh, is anyone going to get after the quarterback? Anybody. So there are some things, though, defensively in that game that I have not seen from this defense. And they admitted that in the locker room this week. We know we kind of got out of our way of playing. And I think, it's a copycat league that everybody says they saw what worked, right? When they faced the Lions. So they did the same thing. Also, the defense has to clean up some of these penalties. I think they had 5 penalties on 3rd down to extend the Rams. That hurts, and the longer we see the defense on the field and they're gassed, the more mistakes are going to be made. So I do agree with you in terms of that, but I was like, oh, come on. The defense can't, they need to take this mini bye and rest up and kind of collect and get back. And that's what we're hoping we're going to see Sunday night.
I also think we found out how important Blake Cashman is. Without him in there, teams can run up the middle. And if you can run up the middle on somebody, you can soften up the defense and you can put yourself in favorable down and distance. And not many defenses really survive that. If Cashman comes back, that changes a lot too. Here's the other thing. The schedule suddenly looks very easy. You're playing a backup quarterback on Sunday. Mm-hmm. You're playing at Jacksonville, which isn't the easiest place to play just because it's hot, but they should win that game. Tennessee's terrible. The Bears are pretty good, but that's not a brutally hard game. Arizona's not a particularly good team. Atlanta might be tough. So things might get tough again late November, early December, but the Vikings very well could be 8-2 here in a few weeks.
Yeah, and when I looked at the next four, I said, I don't put anything past a Bears Vikings matchup, so I will never give that an easy yes. But I would say, when I looked at it, they can easily win 3 out of 4 if they just continue to play, and if they find a way to kind of shore up that O line, and we'll see, we'll wait and see. So I do agree with you. I also say don't sleep on a Joe Flacco. I don't think this team has that ego like, oh yeah, we're going to go in there, it's going to be easy on Sunday. I think they were humbled these last 2 games, and they're also hungry. You get those 2 H's together. I don't think that will be an issue on Sunday night.
I want to talk about the Timberwolves briefly, but let's congratulate the Gopher volleyball team. They're up to 15th in the national rankings. They fell down 2 sets to Ohio State to come back and win it. Interesting slate coming up. They are at Michigan State on Friday, at Michigan on Sunday, and then back home November 7th, Thursday, at Maturi Pavilion against Washington. A very entertaining team, and Keegan Cook has gotten them back on track this year.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what damage they can do in the next month or so. I think they have a lot of talent on this team, and I think maybe they're also teams that everyone's giving so much credit to that they can kind of sneak in, and we saw them earlier in the season topple off some of these like number 5s and number 4s. So I'm hoping they can do some damage soon.
One point I want to make about the Timberwolves and the Lynx, and we do talk a lot about the Lynx and other women's sports on this program, is it's pretty remarkable. As someone who lives walking distance to Target Center, that organization, which, the Wolves had been bad for so long before a few recent years, the Lynx were terrible until Cheryl Reeve got to town. They'd never really had good teams at the same time. And now you have both, you have the Lynx going to a Game 5 in the WNBA Finals, a game they should have won, and did get jobbed on in terms of officiating. Now, if the Wolves coming off a Western Conference Finals, and now look at this home opener on Saturday, great atmosphere. Tonight, by the time you hear this, the game will probably already be played. The Mavericks in town, the team that took them out of the playoffs. Friday night, the Nuggets, the team they earned probably the greatest victory in franchise history against last year. And then they go to San Antonio to play Victor Wembanyama. The Lynx and the Timberwolves are now giving us literally year-round great basketball at Target Center.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, that atmosphere, you knew the Timberwolves back in their own house, it was going to be amazing. But you get that momentum with the Lynx. I just love it. I love seeing that, and you could just see it on the players' faces too. Flying high. I mean, Ant was flying high in that opener. I just love seeing it. Have you started watching at all Starting 5, Jim?
No, I haven't.
Oh my gosh, which is the Netflix version for basketball of, like receiver and quarterback. And it's really fun. It's really interesting. It's kind of, you always forget how young Ant is, because just when he's larger than life on the basketball court. But I've just started it. I'm a couple of episodes in, and I really highly recommend it. Especially now that the Timberwolves are playing. I think it can feed into that for anyone who's a rabid Timberwolves fan. So it's actually extraordinary so far. And yes, Jimmy Butler's in it. So if you love or hate him, he's in there too for you.
He makes me a little crazy. A great player. Just drives me a little crazy.
I love Jimmy Butler. I do. I know.
You
need a little
we talked about our differences before
juice. You need some juice in the league. It doesn't matter.
Reminder, if you like hearing about all these different sports, you're in the right place. Talk North. We have Chin Music Show, Roy Smalley, Lavelle E. Neal, and myself on baseball. The John Krasinski Show on the Timberwolves, with Bar Down Beauties on the Wild, Russo and LaPanta on the Wild, Kevin Gorg on hockey in general, Viking Update Show, Preps Today with John Millay, our Preps show, Randy Shaver's new show, which is high school football, and it's doing great for us. You can find it on YouTube as well as talknorth.com. Dawn's show, which she's had great guests throughout the course, everything Mike Tirico, Jim Cott. Of course, we've got Courtney Godfrey later. Carly Zucker was amazing. We've just had tremendous guests throughout. Jeff Diamond, former Vikings general manager on the Vikings. and I'm probably forgetting 8 people, plus all the Ron Shera production people on the outdoor side. So thanks to everyone who listens and everybody's helped make this network a success. We really do appreciate it. We are coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studios, and we do want to thank long-running sponsor, longtime supporter of women's sports, Rudy Luther Toyota.
Ready for a women-forward car dealership? Rudy Luther Toyota empowers their many women on staff in sales, management, and service. Whether you are looking for a new Toyota or pre-owned vehicle, Rudy Luther Toyota has something for everyone. Every vehicle comes with a Luther Advantage. 10 cents off fuel and car wash discounts at holiday stations, Luther Advantage warranty, and 5-day return policy on pre-owned vehicles. Located just 5 minutes west of downtown Minneapolis, off 394 and General Mills Boulevard. And they're also hiring. Want to join the team but don't know where to start? Visit rudyluthertoyota.com today.
Thanks also to another great Minnesota company doing great work, Minnesota Masonic Charities.
When people think of the Freemasons, they often think of secret handshakes and unusual hats, and of course, the pancake breakfast. Minnesota Masonic Charities would prefer that you think about the work that they do right here in our community. Places like the Masonic Cancer Center at the University of Minnesota or the Masonic Children's Hospital and the Masonic Home in Bloomington. They are just a few examples of the important work that the Freemasons support here in Minnesota. As part of the largest fraternal organization in the world, Masons have consistently answered the call when it comes to charitable needs. I am happy that Minnesota Masonic Charities has chosen Minnesota Bound and this podcast as a place to help spread the word. We look forward to learning so much more about their many programs here in the weeks to come.
And now I get excited talking about Natrium, Natreum, Natrium.com, Natrium and Wildflower stores. I go to the Wildflower stores because they're so convenient to me. There's probably a Natrium near you. There's a big one in St. Louis Park. Check out the Natrium site. You'll find something near you. You can order delivery. I like going there because the sales associates are so knowledgeable and there are so many products to choose from. And there are products right next to each other that just have these subtle little differences depending on your personality, what you're looking for. You know, I'm right now favoring the Carpe Diem sleep gummies, also the Goodnight Moon sleep gummies. There are also Goodnight Moon mood gummies. There are drinks, there are oils for your gut, there are balms for your joints, there are dips, there are gummies, there are other kind of snacks. And I recommend all of them. Personally, I use the stuff for sleep and inflammation because I'm old and tired. But you might just want to have some fun with it. So go to a Natrium store, tell them we sent you, and just ask tell them what you're looking for, what's going to serve you in your life, and they will find something for you. I guarantee it. So now, Dawn, why don't you reintroduce today's guest?
Oh my goodness, I'm really looking forward to this because now it is official and you can see her in her Team USA uniform. She says hashtag back in the bib. Courtney Godfrey, you may know her as just an amazing reporter on Fox 9. She's also a mother of 2. She's a wife. I don't know where she finds the time, but she is on the U.S. Para Ski and Snowboard team. Team USA Snowboarding has a tiger by the tail in Courtney Godfrey, and I'm so excited to have this conversation with her. Well, as promised, we have Courtney Godfrey. And like I mentioned in the open, if you haven't seen her as a reporter on Fox 9, you may not know this as well. Not only is she a mother of 2 and just an all-around badass, but now is an official member of the U.S. Para Ski and Snowboard team. I'm telling you, Courtney, Team USA Snowboarding is lucky and happy to have you. And totally biased. I know that, but I know how hard you've been working. So congratulations. I love your hashtag back in the bib.
Thank you so much, Dawn. You're so kind. I really appreciate the kind words.
So let me ask you this, and if you haven't met, Jim Souhan is along with us. You started your dreams. You were always back in California. You were an awesome skier. And if the listeners don't know your backstory, your life got derailed. If you would like to bring everyone up to speed, because what I always say when I talk about you is, I don't know if I were in the same position and I became an amputee, how I would handle myself. And you have been an inspiration for so many. Can you tell everyone who's listening about what that journey has been for you?
Well, no one ever knows how they're going to respond in trauma. And certainly I didn't prepare for what happened to me, but I was me after, right? And being me was being positive. So what happened is about 8 years ago now, 2017, my husband was driving his 19-foot Malibu ski boat. He's a big water skier, grew up in Minnesota. We love the lake. We spend most weekends on the lake. And we were out like we normally are, and he did a maneuver which is commonly known as a power turn. It's very common in water skiing. It's like doing a donut in the water. I've been
Mm.
in boats when hundreds of times when these have been done, and this time was just a little different. And this time when the boat turned, I fell out and I ended up underneath the boat, and the inboard propeller hit my foot, and that's how I became an amputee.
Your sister is a trauma nurse. Thank God she was aboard because she used the rope as a tourniquet and basically saved your life. So this was just like a family affair out on the water, right?
Yeah, so my sister and her husband came to Minnesota for the very first time, and so welcome to Minnesota. We lose
Oh
legs
my
around here. I don't
Oh my
They came
goodness.
to Minnesota for the first time, and of course, we took them out on the water. That's kind of our thing here in Minnesota. We got to show people the boat, got to show them the lakes, show them our lifestyle here. And we were out all day. It was a beautiful day. It was mid-September, so we knew that it was going to be one of our last days out on the water. And this happened, and my sister just immediately jumped into trauma response and knew exactly what to do. And I'll never forget, she was on the boat, and she just laid me on the back and wouldn't let me look at my foot. I saw it when I held it out of the water, and I saw, what was left of, some toes dangling, but really a huge chunk of my foot was missing. And she pressed her hands into my shoulders and just said, "Don't look down, don't look down and keep breathing." And she tied a tourniquet around my leg with the ski rope, and at the very least saved me from needing a lot of blood. I didn't receive any blood at the hospital that night, and I believe it's because of her quick thinking.
Oh my goodness. I know when I had you on just a little bit ago on my unscripted show, and the feedback I got from people from that interview was, I watch Courtney all the time on Fox 9. I never knew that she's an amputee. I mean, she's running around doing stories and in the thick of things and covering riots, and then to find out that you're also an unbelievable snowboarder. So people's minds are blown, but you had to, in order to maintain that active lifestyle, and not only just being a mom, so to come after, but because you knew what you wanted in your future, but you're present in terms of my job, what I love to do for activities. And you had to make that horrible decision to amputate actually more of your leg than some would have done, right?
Yeah, so the propeller cut right through my heel. So the doctors came in the next day and said, "Look, your husband told us you're super active. We know that you love to snowboard. You told the nurses all about how you need to wear high heels again. And if you want access to the right? I have priorities, Dawn. I have
Come on.
priorities. And if you want access to the amazing prosthetics that are on the market today, we need to take more of your leg." And let's just go back to the reporting thing, because who better to send into a burning city than the disabled girl who can't run, right? I mean, come on. No, I love our bosses at Fox 9. They've been super supportive. And, I'm just crazy enough that when I got back on my feet, literally, I wanted to jump right back in. And, I am still a lead reporter over at Fox 9. I'm part-time now because of being on the U.S. team. But to me, recovery has not been returning to the same place, but exceeding where you were and pushing the limits. And that, I guess, now means being on the U.S. team.
So before we get to the U.S. team, I want to ask you this. There's always that space where you are who you are beforehand, and then you become more after. What, not to get so detailed, but what were those conversations like when you had to have some dark days to be like, this is not defining me?
Yeah, I've always been a naturally positive person. So I instinctively from the beginning was like, how can I turn this into something positive? How can I help other people? So I always, and that, you visited me in the hospital, and I was, from the beginning, took a very positive outlook on it, but that doesn't mean that I didn't have really dark days. I mean, even simple things like being a woman and having to look in the mirror and all of a sudden you feel like you're deformed, right? You don't look like the beautiful, perfect bodies that are in the magazines. You look like, in your eyes, in your darkest days, you look like a freak, and you have to come to terms with that. Or, my husband really struggled with guilt and the trauma of being behind the wheel of the boat when this happened to me. So I would say that in any instance of trauma, you have to dip your toe in that dark place, but just don't stay there. You gotta face it and then turn around and walk the other way, because there's nothing good that's going to come out of staying in that dark place.
Well, you did not stay there. And I even remember the very first video you took when you got up on a snowboard again. What was that process like to be like, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I love it. I'm gonna snowboard. And then what launched you into doing it for Team USA?
Yeah. Well, like I said, from the beginning, one of the first things I said was I love to snowboard. Will I ever snowboard again? And the next night after my accident, a Paralympic snowboarder from Kimball, Minnesota, heard about my accident. He came to my hospital room, Mike Schultz, and he was like, okay, we're going to get you back up on your snowboard in 4 months. And I was like, excuse me? 4 months? I'm not sure you're aware of what's happened here, but that's a short timeline. And he held me to it. So it was February of that year. I went to his home hill, Powder Ridge, and, I would think I was still in a check socket, so I wasn't in my permanent prosthetic. I was barely able to walk in my leg, but I strapped into my snowboard. He led me down the hill, and I mean, it wasn't pretty, but that feeling of strapping into my board, feeling the wind in my hair, and just knowing that I was getting back to something that I loved was really that moment that I needed to show me that, yes, you can do everything you did before, and you will still live a full life. And a few years later, now I can tell you I'm a better snowboarder on one leg than I was on two.
You know what I also love, and in this especially this past year where everyone's been focusing on female athletes a little bit more, whether it's WNBA, whether it's college basketball, whether it's the Paralympics, people are focusing on, wow, women are doing this and having kids. Well, you not only have one, you have two. So you've had to kind of put your skiing on a back burner and then kind of bring it back again. That is no small feat, in addition to having to deal with being an adaptive athlete. That's incredible.
Yeah. So after I didn't make the team to go to China in 2022, I decided to go for that second kid and got pregnant with my second right away. She was born in December, so I took that next season off. Last season, the way that the fist point system works, I needed to show up to a few things just to stay on the World Cup circuit. So I showed up not being on snow for a long time, out of shape, not in the gym, not training. And I didn't do well, but I realized that I missed it and I loved it. And I love racing, and it was just a reminder of how much I love that. So, and then a few months later, I got the call, surprise, you made the U.S. team.
You're like, what?
I was like, I'm sorry.
No, it's for real.
Yeah, I've been gone for 2 seasons raising kids and trying to figure out what my next steps are. And clearly the coaches saw something in me, and they believe in me, and they know I'm a hard worker, and they know I've got the skills. And they also know that I've got a lot of work to do. But I'm going to give it my best shot, and I'm not going to waste this opportunity.
What I really love, when I spoke to you before, you said this is the only thing that I just do for myself. You know,
Yeah.
it's when you're a reporter, you're also doing it as a livelihood and a paycheck, and a mom, you're raising kids, and when you're a wife, you're doing everything for the family. This is the only thing you do for yourself now.
It's so true, Dawn. Like, it is the one thing, and I think that's why when I went back to it last winter for a couple competitions, I kind of got a piece of myself back, because that second kid really rocked me. You know, that transition from 1 to 2 kids, any mom will tell you, is really tough. It's all of a sudden you don't get any sleep, you know, you don't get any downtime, you don't get to sleep when the baby sleeps. And I got back on the racing circuit and it was like, wow, this is me. I found myself again. And that was an incredible, and even my husband said when I got back from the first trip, he said, gosh, you're like so happy and you're so like, this is the old you. And I'm like, this is what I needed, you know, this is what I needed. And this is what I was missing.
And when you become yourself again, everything just gets brighter. I know that sounds so cliche, but not only did your husband see it, but you feel lighter. Everything feels better. Like you're even, like you said, you took time away from reporting, but you're still with us. You're still coming back in and kicking butt on like the lead story.
Yeah, yesterday there was a big story in Minneapolis and I called and said, can I work today? So, you know, once a reporter, always a reporter. I want to work when there's a big story. I want to be on the front lines for the biggest news stories. And so, yeah, that will always be a part of me. This is just another part of me. And like you said, a part of me that a lot of people don't know about. You know, you see me on TV from, you know, the belly button up, and you don't realize that I'm doing it all on a prosthetic leg. And that's the way I like it, by the way. You know,
really? Okay.
I'm not any different from anybody else. I had something terrible happen to me, but I'm no different from any of my other colleagues. And I don't want to be treated differently than my other colleagues. I want to be respected as a great journalist and a seasoned reporter, but I don't want to be treated any differently just because I have a prosthetic leg.
So when I was watching all of your, oh my gosh, you know, I get tired watching exactly everything that you're doing, but you just got back not long ago from Colorado and they put you through the paces, you know, and you let us in like a behind the scenes look, like of all the training on the bikes, of what you had to do. What exhilarated you when you were out? I believe it was Colorado Springs or somewhere in Colorado where you were training.
No,
and then you had to pass, where was it? Park
City. That's where the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Center for Excellence is in Park City, Utah.
Oh my goodness. Okay,
yeah,
so Park City,
the
Utah.
facilities are amazing.
What was that like for you?
Well, you're an athlete now, right? You're no longer okay, this is a hobby. You're an athlete now. So they put you through the ringer. You know, they run you through strength testing, endurance testing. You're meeting with nutritionists and psychologists and physical therapists and doctors, and you're getting MRIs, and it's crazy, but it's so fun. What was really fun this time is we got tested in June, and then we came back in October, and we got to see our gains. So since June, I've been on the U.S. team workouts and working out in the gym and doing what the trainer prescribes us, and I had gains across the board, which was so cool to see. Yeah, so it's cool to see like your work paying off.
So what is next for you when it comes to this team? What's your timeline? What does the calendar look like?
Well, we are getting ready to head off for our first on-snow camp in a couple weeks in New Hampshire. And then, you know, the winter is training in Utah and traveling around Europe, competing and, you know, working towards the Paralympics in Italy in 2026.
It's so exciting. Everything that you were just checking off. And I was just like, my smile just got bigger and bigger and bigger. Like, this is what you've worked for. This is what you've worked for.
You're so sweet. You know, I didn't even realize this was a dream of mine, but it's been so fun to live this dream.
So what word of advice for the young woman, young man, or even if they're kids right now, that they're down and they've either were born missing a limb, or and now have to deal with a tragic change to their body, and now they're thinking of becoming an adaptive athlete. What is your word of advice for them?
Find your passion. Find what you're passionate about and go all out. Find a club team in your area that can, show you some various sports that you think you're interested in, and, see if you like it. And if you do, keep showing up, keep training. I am not the best snowboarder on the circuit, and I certainly was not any good when I first showed up on the circuit, but I kept showing up, I kept training, and by the end of the season, I got my first World Cup podium. So hard work pays off. Find your passion and work hard at it.
And one of the organizations that I know you do a lot of work with, Wiggle Your Toes, what can you say about them? And what about all these wonderful people that are behind the scenes that really help you become back to yourself, shall I say, and then become greater than what you thought you could be?
Yeah, Wiggle Your Toes is an awesome local Minnesota amputee nonprofit, and we support amputees, whether they need a prosthetic leg that insurance won't cover, or they need, a grant to compete in the sport of their choice or whatever. Or we hold camps, to introduce amputees to new sports and activities that maybe they didn't do before, or get them back into a sport that they did before they lost their legs. It's a wonderful organization that I fully support. And I would say, as far as who else supports me in this journey, obviously my friends, my family, my husband is incredible. My kids are incredible. And my teammates are so great. They've been so supportive of me on this journey. They love to see me on the team and growing and thriving, and they lift me up, even though they know I've got a long way to go. So yeah, it's a team effort, right?
It is certainly a team effort, and you're one leading the charge. If anyone's out there listening, you can also follow along. Courtney is amazing on social media. Courtney M. Godfrey is her handle on Instagram. You also do a lot of work in terms of legislation, so you're using that powerhouse brain along with your body. I just personally want to thank you for all that you do for others, as well as finally doing something for yourself as well, Courtney.
Oh, you're so kind. I always say it kind of heals a part of me, and it heals a part of my trauma to help others and to help other people who are, unfortunately joining this club and walking this path.
Well, we thank you. I cannot wait till you're at the Paralympics, but there's a lot of work before that. But I'm going to be stalking you on social media and following along if I don't see you actually on our TV sets. But I know pretty soon winter's going to be here. You're going to be out in Park City. You're going to be training even more. But this is what you've wanted. And let me tell you, I am so incredibly not only proud to call you a friend, but to see how you're doing this and leading the way for others. It's just magnificent, Courtney. It truly is.
Well, you get the first interview when I cross the finish line.
Yes, you heard it here. I've got witnesses.
You got to get Fox 9 to fund your trip to Italy. You think we can make that happen?
Oh, I'll have to start early. I'll start pledging that tomorrow to them. All right. Courtney Godfrey, congratulations making the U.S. para snowboarding team. Team USA is so lucky to have you, and we are so lucky that you had a chance to chat with us and bring your story to everyone here on Dawn of Sports. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Dawn.